Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. I am Kaitlin Coari. As mentioned, I work for ARUP as a management consultant, major event specialist. I am also currently serving as the Director of Transportation for the New York, New Jersey FIFA World Cup host committee. So I work very closely with New Jersey Transit. That's actually why I was late for this call. I was on a call with your leadership. So great to hear from you and hear about how you guys are all working with us and the rest of the region to plan this. But so I'm just going to talk through kind of operational readiness for major events and how we think through the whole life cycle of planning through to operations. So what is operational readiness, ORET, which I will throw out throughout this presentation, and why does it matter for major events? So operational readiness, activation, and transition, which is what the acronym ORET stands for, is really a comprehensive program involving multiple stakeholders, which we definitely have in this region across both New York and New Jersey. And it's about managing a transition into a new live operational state. Usually, it's from a new construction state to then transition into live operations. But in the case of a major event, it's, altering how typical day-to-day operations are handled. How can you ensure that all the people, processes, systems are all set up and ready to go, that on day one, kickoff, opening day, everything goes off without a hitch. People are able to move smoothly. Everything is safe and secure. And of course, you have an incredible sporting event. So ORET really does bridge that gap between the planning and that pie in the sky kind of thinking, and then what actually happens on the ground in the live operational state on that opening day. Not a surprise to probably anyone here, but major events place an extraordinary pressure on transportation systems, and there is a heightened concern around safety, security, and passenger experience, especially with the World Cup coming to our region. A lot of international fans will be coming to the World Cup, with the Super Bowl. That's usually a domestic kind of major event. With the international kind of presence coming for the World Cup, there's a higher aptitude for use of public transportation, different expectations. So that kind of changes how all the thinking and all the planning needs to be considered. So what does kind of operational readiness look like across the life cycle of a major event? So we kind of have three kind of prongs I'll talk about today. We have planning, testing, and then live operations itself. So in that planning state, the key things that come out often in major events, right, are changes in anticipated demand, crowd behavior changes, and then security risk related to the event itself. There's a lot of attention on these major events. So how do we make sure that we're thinking with that at the forefront and making those plans? And then you move into this testing phase to make sure that that kind of end state that you have all developed in the planning is actually tested and proved to be effective, and ensuring that all the people, the procedures, and systems are all set up to kind of go live on that day one. Because often in that planning stage, right, it's the leadership levels or kind of those higher level ops people that are really thinking through that strategy. In the testing phase, you really want to make sure that that information has made its way down to the boots on the ground operational people that will be handling it in real time. And then we get to real time, which is live operations. And specific to a major event and ORET, it's really about managing those incidents and real-time information. In other kind of ORET projects, it's really about that transition from, day one live operations to continued operations into that, continued state. Here, it's about ensuring that there's not a revert back to, typical operations. You're maintaining that event operation and you're responding to those unique needs based on what's going on. So I'll dive into kind of a little bit around each of those. So related to planning, specifically related to a major event, pedestrian modeling always comes into the forefront around this. We at ARUP have a technology called mass motion, which really helps understand pedestrian movements. And it's a simulation model that we can predict how crowds move, how they arrive, and then that then helps us really understand what those pinch points are in terms of, crowd crushing or security needs. So how can you set up your staffing, your infrastructure, your signage based on what we get out of this. So crowd modeling is really important at, kind of the key major event hubs. So yes, of course, in the World Cup, it would be at the stadium itself. But then also, we really need to be thinking also about all the transportation stations and what that what that connection is between the regular people that are going to the transportation stations and then these kind of FIFA fans or major event fans generally. So we use this technology to really bring to life what the planning challenges will be. I kind of just talked about this, but we have used it heavily on the New York, New Jersey FIFA World Cup project right now to really understand and inform how we should be operating our stations in a safe and secure way. That also really highlights and makes sure that fans are having a positive experience, right? We don't want people to be confused or not understanding how to flow through our kind of key stations. And this really helps us understand where the day-to-day pinch points are, how we can actively manage those places and push people in certain directions so that they know how to get to and from places very seamlessly. After kind of the planning stage, we move into testing. So testing kind of meaning ORAT trials. So setting up kind of a progressive program of really validating the operational plans and putting them through scenario tests. This helps to understand and identify gaps in planning so that we can solve them ahead of day one. The whole point of this is to kind of break the system, and that so then on day one, you don't run into those problems. The challenge a lot of times with major events is it's all these agencies and all these different stakeholders coming together and needing to work together very closely to create a different type of operation than they're used to. And so what an entity like ARUP or a host committee or kind of that unifying body might be in a major event really helps to kind of keep that focus on that specific kind of lens and the overlay, so of the World Cup or of the Olympics or the Commonwealth Games or whatnot. And making sure that that is kind of being considered instead of just reverting back to, well, this is what we do on the day-to-day. We want to make sure that the experience that they are going to have during the event is kind of tested and tried. It also really helps to build operational confidence, right? We've been spending years, you spend years planning these things. You think you got it, and then you get to day one, and then it might not be what you expected. So we want to make sure that people feel confident that they can handle anything that comes their way on day one. So an example of this, I wanted to bring in something not major event related, but kind of big infrastructure and big crowd kind of gathering areas. So the Portland airport, huge renovation just took place over the last couple of years. We executed a really progressive trials program there, starting with kind of basic trials, which is more so just talking between each other about, what the different operations need to be. And then building up to a 1,600 person in-person simulated event to really test kind of what that day one operation would look like. And so the entire purpose of this, right, is to understand and to play out what that end state operation is. So what is that day one operation, so that you can actually prove, right, that it's going to work when you actually open the doors. The proudest moment of one of my career is I was at this trial, did this trial, successful. And then on the day one of the airport, someone came up to me and was like, I would have never known that this was day one of the airport unless there was llamas here, because Portland loves llamas and they have them throughout the airport on big days. So trials can really help ensure that that people know what they're doing and they know how to operate on that first day. And then the last kind of bit is just live operations. So this is a coordinated incident management. So in kind of major events, you want to make sure that you have kind of agility and the agencies can work closely and respond in real time. So having a coordinated incident management system and process and communication structure is incredibly important to facilitate that kind of effective operational response. It also is important to kind of ensure continued adjustments and updates throughout, a tournament or an event. Major events are not, typically one day. The World Cup's 39 days. Olympics are, 4 weeks. So how can you make sure that you're continually learning and getting better day by day? And that's kind of support this incident management system. Example of this is in the Birmingham Commonwealth Games. We helped the city out there build a multi-sport, multi-agency incident management system and kind of event map, so that there was a single source of truth. Everyone's working off the exact same information, so no one's kind of left behind or kind of doing duplicative work. This really ensured that there was that strong communications and effective management at the operations level from, the police and law enforcement all the way down to the businesses in the cities to be able to reap the benefits of this. So I know that was really quick, but that's kind of an overview of operational readiness around major events.